Is it a lie or you're speaking the truth, Mr. Vaz? Because I don't understand. United Gas said a total different thing from what you are saying, sir.
I've seen the many posts on social media and received WhatsApps and telephone calls in relation to the fake news circulating on social media in relation to the discovery of oil on our shores or off our shores. As Minister, I can categorically state that there's no such thing. It is absolutely fake news. I, as Minister, would be the first one to be excited to share any such good news if and when that happens. So until such time as you hear from me, while I'm Minister, disregard all information in relation to Jamaica's discovery of oil. It is just simply untrue.
Okay, Mr. Vaz, you said all of that. Now let us listen to what United Gas have to say and see if what you said and what they got to say is if they are in any form corresponding with each other. Because from my point of view, someone is lying and it don't seem like it is United Gas. Yes, my people, let us now listen to what United Gas got to say about this whole oil finding in Jamaica's water. And let us have the discussion in the comment section below.
With the island of Jamaica and the government, not only the host government but the political opposition as well. Everybody's very keen and supportive to see this well drilled, purely because of the economics, the potential upside and value. The size of the prize is huge for what is a reasonably low or minimum investment, and in fact, as a demonstration of the support of the government, they've kindly hosted us this evening for this evening's shareholder event, which we're very excited about.
The energy demand for the world is going to be fulfilled all the way out to 2050 by at least between 40 and 50% coming from fossil fuels. We're in an energy transition. Transitions take decades, and there's a growing realization that reserves have to be replaced in order to meet that energy demand.
Well, the potential is huge. It's a potentially life-changing license for the island of Jamaica. The size and scale and value is truly mind-blowing. This project could be potentially 7 billion barrels of recoverable oil. It could potentially double the GDP of the island as a standalone project, and it could also generate over $30 billion of tax take for the island of Jamaica. So the scale is quite substantial.
The Jamaican opportunity is really a unique one. It's a massive acreage holding, over 22,000 square kilometres, which is the equivalent of 3.5 million football pitches, and really the opportunity to be first mover in a country that is energy hungry, that would like to replace its imports with indigenous supply. More than that, the way that we're looking at Jamaica now, and the technical work that's advanced, we see a real opportunity for a string of pearls in terms of exploration and development. And we're really looking at early commercialization and how we can do that. And with that, we've built a development around, it's conventional, it's using floating production and storage offshore systems, such as used in the Stabroek license in Guyana, for example. And actually, we have many similarities to the Stabroek license. So in the look at how we would go about commercializing these opportunities, we've really started to attract and engage with a number of partners, and we're really taking those conversations forward. And of course, our joint purpose with the Jamaican government is to get to a point of commercializing and getting to production as early as possible.
It's frontier exploration. There's not too many of those projects left in the world, and the fact that a company of our size has 100% of 29,000 square kilometres of acreage is really, really impressive. And it's in our hands now to move it forward, and as I've touched upon, the size of the prize is so big for what is really a minimal investment up front. So I think we're really excited now moving forward into the remainder of this year, our existing work programme, and hopefully drilling an exploration well in 2025 or 2026. This year we've appointed a new country manager, Herona Thompson, and she'll lead operations on the ground and help us with all the permitting that's required for this year's work programme in advance of hopefully drilling an exploration well in 2025. We've also invested quite substantially in a number of training and educational programmes. So to date, since we've come into the licence and taken over operatorship, we've invested over $500,000 in training and educational programmes. So the relationship is very strong. I think the shareholders really need to get behind the story now and really support the work programme and what we're trying to achieve. Tonight's presentation will be available on our website, and I really urge our shareholders to have a read of it. The technical story has evolved substantially over the last number of months, and we're really excited now. There's a number of additional leads and prospects that we've been working on, and the presentation will capture a lot of that detail.
Tonight we gather to celebrate the partnership between United Oil and Gas plc and the Government of Jamaica, as well as to highlight the exciting opportunities that lie ahead in Jamaica's offshore oil and gas sector. We have an esteemed lineup of speakers who will share their insights and perspectives on this important collaboration. So without further ado, let us commence our program with a warm welcome from my dear friend, His Excellency Alexander Williams, the Jamaica's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. Your Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Lawrence. Lawrence has an excellent future as a politician. He speaks so fluidly and so well and so engaging. We need to get him into politics, no? So, it's my distinct honor and privilege to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to the United Oil and Gas plc shareholders and stakeholders reception hosted here at the Jamaican High Commission in the United Kingdom. Tonight we gather in the spirit of partnership and collaboration to celebrate the fruitful relationship between United Oil and Gas plc and the Jamaican government. The occasion makes a significant milestone in our collective efforts to unlock Jamaica's offshore oil and gas potential and foster sustainable development for the benefit of our nation and its people.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. And thank you very much to His Excellency Alexander Williams and, of course, Lawrence Jones and the JAMPRO team for hosting us here tonight. As Brian said, I'm a director at United, and I'm really excited to be here with you today to share our story and our excitement about our opportunity in Jamaica. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I aim to take you through our exciting opportunity offshore Jamaica. I'll start at the macro level, why this opportunity makes good business sense. Then we will look at how we can monetize and realize the vast value that lies in this acreage. And finally, I'll share just a fraction of the technical evidence that we have that underpins our statements on value potential. United are in a unique position here in Jamaica. The resource potential of this basin is huge. To date, and without the benefit of full 3D seismic coverage across the 22,000 square kilometres, and just let me give you some perspective, 22,000 square kilometres, you can put 3.5 million football pitches into 22,000 square kilometres. That's the acreage that we have, which holds over 7 billion barrels of mean prospective resources. So there's plenty of upside here and plenty of running room. On top of this, and very important, is that the fiscal terms here rank right at the top in terms of attractiveness. When you couple this with how supportive and flexible the government are, the first mover advantage for anyone wishing to grow a valuable business here in Jamaica for the sustainable development of the nation and your own business are undeniable. And let me say that the opportunity to participate in Jamaica is far more than an opportunity to participate in exploration. What we will be doing here is opening up a new basin. You will see later in the presentation how analogous this opportunity is to Stabroek license in Guyana in terms of block size, resource potential, prospect size distribution and production potential. The opportunity here is to be the first mover in building an integrated business in an energy-hungry country that desires to replace its imports and to be part of the economic development of the nation, while at the same time making substantial returns as a company. Another unique and very important aspect of this is that we as an industry and as a nation want to accelerate and strengthen our efforts of decarbonisation and emissions management. And this is an opportunity to build a carbon neutral development from the outset, with all of the positive impacts of that on our sustainability objectives and our reputation. So a quick recap just for this section. This is an excellent opportunity for monetising exploration prospectivity. We have over 7 billion barrels and we have a very small area of 3D, which if I walk over here, we have 3D over this area and we have the rest of the acreage here. And with that, we have identified 21 prospects and leads. So when we shoot more 3D and when we reprocess the existing 3D, that is only going to grow. So massive upside potential here. I'll show you later, and unfortunately we don't have time, and I'm sure you maybe don't want to see it, but we have more than an hour's worth of presentation of real solid technical material of why there is an active hydrocarbon system here. All the wells that have been drilled to date have had oil shows, even way back to the 1950s. There are numerous seeps identified and sampled both onshore and offshore. There's seismic evidence for hydrocarbon migration. You don't have to be a seismologist to see it. You can see the chimneys rising up to the surface, the gas chimneys. The Cretaceous source rock development is that we've done some basin modelling that shows where the source rocks are and how that has been built up in the basin. We have supportive government policy in fiscal terms, and essentially the resource here is comparable to the Stabroek resource in Guyana. So massive potential in the Walton-morant and the potential to actually produce up to and exceed 1 million barrels of oil production per day. I suspect that some of you might have a question in your minds, which is, why now and not before? After all, the first well drilled here was almost 70 years ago. First, it is usual rather than unusual for frontier basins to take decades before monetization occurs. And if we think about Guyana, for example, which is the most recent frontier basin to be opened up, the first well was in the 80s and first discovery was in May 2015. The sheer scale of data acquisition and technical work that has to take place before you can work up a prospect inventory that sufficiently de-risks your acreage so that you can drill is huge, and it takes time. It's just as simple as that. So, essentially, where we are today, what's changed? Well, we understand much more about the exploration concepts here, where to target in terms of the offshore drilling. We've got a much better understanding of the basin, of the regional source rock development, etc., and the geological concepts. And we've got some high quality 3D seismic, which we're going to improve upon and reprocess and acquire more. Okay, thank you. So I've shown you the immense size of the prize at Walton-morant, and let's now consider the very important question of how we would go about unlocking that value potential. We've identified more than 7 billion barrels of potential on the block, and there are numerous prospects and leads that are greater on their own than 500 million barrels, and some that are up to 1 billion barrels in size, and you'll see more of that later in the presentation. This resource distribution gives us a great choice of initial targets to open up the block, and which provides us with great flexibility in how we approach developing the block. Any one of these large prospects alone would create excellent economic return. But given the sheer scale of the resource potential here, we would develop the area using FPSO, floating production storage offshore hubs. These are just big ships, basically, that process things on board, with multiple large discoveries tied back to each FPSO. Our goal being to develop the 7 billion barrels of resources and to reach over 1 million barrels of oil production per day from the block. Just to give you an idea, these are tried and tested conventional development techniques, and indeed exactly the same as the approach being used to unlock the value from the prolific Stabroek block owned by Exxon, Hess and CNOOC, which is offshore Guyana, where they're using multiple FPSOs as hubs to develop clusters of discoveries. We also have the potential at Walton-morant to add more value from the associated gas. Often associated gas is a bit of a nuisance, but actually Jamaica currently has over 900 megawatts of thermal power generation relying on imported oil and gas supplies that could be replaced by associated gas from the Walton-morant discoveries. Given that most of the power generation and gas demand is on the southern coast of Jamaica, it's easy to land gas to shore and replace imported oil and gas with indigenous clean gas for power generation. Now, I'm going to take a bit of time on this, if I may. It's dense with data, and I'm sure maybe some of you cannot read it all. But if we just start with the map on the right-hand side, and you can see the relative geographic proximity between Jamaica and Guyana. And then if you look at the top right is Stabroek, and then of course our acreage here, and actually they're plotted on a relatively similar scale, so you can see also that in terms of the relative size they are roughly the same as well. But when you take
loyal viewers and subscribers, honorable people, give thanks for your support to the AVI-NUE. Know that I appreciate you sincerely. New viewers, welcome on board. Know that your presence is appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. United we win.